What's up, guys? Welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Lukas. I'm a medical doctor living and working in Germany, and in today's video I'm going to show you 5 reasons why you should become a medical doctor. So let's get started. First, fulfillment. This is probably the number one reason why most of the doctors chose their profession. It's extremely meaningful and fulfilling to see the high impact we have as medical doctors for the health and therefore on the entire life of our patients. We oftentimes realize this when the patients are getting better. Then they just appreciate so much what we did for them. They oftentimes tell us like, thank you so much what you did. I'm so grateful that I'm back to my normal life. I can work again as a doctor, lawyer, or businessman, or whatever they're doing. And oftentimes they just give us little gifts like chocolate or alcohol. And also their family members, they tell us like, oh, thank you so much that we're able to spend more time with our loved one. And it's really cool to see that. Furthermore, it's also not really necessary to save somebody's life to feel that kind of fulfillment. It's oftentimes already easy to feel that in much smaller ways. Like for example, when I'm working in the outpatient clinic and I'm seeing patients there, I just try to give them all my attention and I look at them in the eyes. I just do not get distracted by typing something in the keyboard or writing things down. I just give all my attention to them, look at them and show them that I really care about what they have to say. And patients oftentimes really appreciate it. They're very thankful. Many times they tell me like, oh, you were like the first doctor who really took care of me, who listened to me. Like most of the other doctors are so busy and they don't really care much. So thank you so much. And to hear this, at least this happens in Germany many times, gives me a lot of fulfillment and it's really amazing. Besides that, we also often, of course, help people in the ophthalmology department with their vision. Like many times they come to see us and they explain that their vision got really decreased. And many times we figure out that they have like a problem with their lens. Maybe they have a lens clouding or a corneal clouding, and we can help them to improve the vision by a cataract surgery or a corneal transplant. And afterwards, people are so extremely thankful. They tell us like, oh, my vision is back to normal. They nearly start to cry, and they also love to give us a lot of gifts. Last time, one patient gave a chocolate bar to every single doctor in our clinic, and it's just amazing to see that, to experience something like that. I think there aren't many professions where you can feel the big impact you have on people's life. Second, fascination. The human being is really fascinating, and that was also the reason why I studied medicine. I really wanted to learn everything about it, how it works, how it's possible that there are more than 100 billion cells that interact in a really meaningful way, that we can do all the things that we are able to do as human beings. It seems like there's an artificial intelligence that just manages our heart rate, our blood pressure, our blood glucose level, without even thinking about it. Furthermore, I also found it extremely interesting to understand how organs work. Think about the heart. The heart is a pump that actually works for 80, 90, sometimes 100 years non-stop. Imagine you would buy a pump on Amazon, or even imagine buying a car somewhere. You would not imagine that this lasts for such a long time. After learning all the physiology, I was also very interested in learning all the pathologies, all the diseases that actually exist. So let's take a simple example, a heart attack. What is that? First, this basically means we have a thrombus that blocks the artery in the heart. Therefore, the supply of oxygen and nutrition is damaged in the heart, and that would at the end lead to a failure of the heart and to death. Therefore, it's very important to figure out if somebody has this kind of disease, and therefore we look for symptoms how a patient would present. Oftentimes, in this case, patient would present with pain in their chest. So if we see a patient with this kind of symptoms acute in the hospital, we would think about maybe this could be a heart attack. So therefore, we would need to do some kind of diagnostic. Gladly, some people invented a device which we can use to track the electric activity of the heart. Therefore, if somebody has a heart attack, we would see an ST elevation in this activity, and it would be an easy way to figure out that somebody has a heart attack without bringing any harm to the patient. Besides that, we would also take blood of the patient, and in there we would find proteins, so-called troponin, that are usually only found in the heart. So only if the heart gets damaged, these kind of proteins would leak into the blood and we would be able to track them over there. With this kind of diagnostic, we would be able to find out that the patient has a heart attack and he would need a very quick treatment. Otherwise, that would be very harmful for the human being. Treatment option would be to do a balloon dilatation of the artery, to open up the artery again, and after that we would implant a metal stand that would keep the artery open for a long time. I find this really spectacular that we're able to help patients in such a meaningful way, and I think it's really cool. Third, teaching. As a medical doctor, you're able to learn a lot of things throughout your career, and finally you will have a really bright knowledge and know a lot about diseases and treatment options. So therefore, it's also a lot of fun to actually teach people about the things that you learned. First, of course, it's very important to teach and educate the patients. So in ophthalmology, it's a lot of fun because we're able to oftentimes show patients their kind of disease on a photo. We often take photos of the retina or the cornea, and therefore we are able to show them like, okay, this is a photo of your retina and here you see that there's some kind of hole. Normally it should be like this, no hole, and now we need to do some treatments. So obviously then patients are able to understand that this really exists. And second, in ophthalmology, it's also oftentimes the case that patients do not know much about their diseases. It's a really small field and patients oftentimes do not know what a macular hole is or what a retinal detachment is like. Second, it's also a lot of fun to teach other doctors. Oftentimes, we also work with colleagues that come new to our department that are not so experienced yet, so we are able to teach them a lot about diseases, treatments, and also procedures, how to do them. In my opinion, that's a lot of fun. And it also helps you to actually learn this stuff for yourself again, because you're only able to teach somebody if you actually understand what you're doing. Furthermore, we also educate doctors from other departments, like they would send us patients from the surgery or the skin department, and then we tell them what's the problem of the patient and what would be the treatment option for that. Finally, I also work at the teaching hospital, so it's also my duty to actually teach students. In my opinion, that's also a lot of fun. We have different kind of courses, so sometimes we see students and we educate them about our field. So I would explain them that in the ophthalmology department, for example, we are able to diagnose a lot of diseases by just taking a look at the patient's retina. So sometimes we could figure out that the patient has disease like a bacterial infection, like a Lewis infection or toxoplasmosis infection, and just by seeing it. Furthermore, we also teach students how our diagnostic works, and we actually present them medical cases where they're able to do a physical examination of the eye of patients and figure out what the patient has and how to treat that kind of condition. Fourth, security. The cool thing about being a doctor is also that you're very important for society. There will always be patients with diseases, so there will always be enough jobs for you. You will never be unemployed. Furthermore, every country also knows that doctors are very important. Every country needs healthy people, so therefore the salary will be quite high compared to other occupations. What I also learned from my internships overseas in Australia, in USA, or in Singapore, if you know a patient has some kind of disease, you are able to treat him or her. It doesn't matter in which country you are. At the end, we're all human beings, and if you understand the problem of this patient, you are able to treat him or her, and that means basically you're able to work everywhere around the world. And I also found that quite cool. That is not such a big game changer if you're working in Germany or in Australia or in the United States. It took a bit the fear away from me. All you need, of course, is the license to be able to practice in this country. But if you have that, it's really not such a big difference. Fifth, variety. The life of a medical doctor never gets boring. I've never had a day that was exactly the same like the day before. So our life is very different than working in an office where you would sit on a chair at the same table for 8 hours non-stop, and you would have to do a lot of repetitive work, like write maybe 20, 50 emails per day. Our life is much different than that. I really like that. So we would see many different people, for example. So that brings variety. They would be different in age. We would have young kids, middle-aged people, older people. They would be different from the background. Some would be lawyers, dentists, business guys, construction guys. It's all kind of different background. Furthermore, they also would be different, of course, in the diseases they have. So some would have maybe a trauma on the eye. Some would have a retinal detachment, macular hole, or corneal disease. Also, this differs all the time. Then we would do different diagnostics. We would do different treatments for them. So I would prescribe medications. I would do subconjunctival injections. I would do injections in the eyeball, and also photodestructive procedures, all in the same day. So this is quite challenging because you always have to adapt and do something different. However, it's also a lot of fun, and yeah, it never gets boring. So these were my 5 favorite reasons why you should also study medicine, become a medical doctor. I really love this kind of profession. I'm very happy and thankful that I studied medicine, and I can definitely recommend it to you too. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Thank you so much for watching. If you want to see how my life as a medical doctor is like, here's a video to watch this. Down here is another video where you can find out how much money we earn as a medical doctor in Germany. Yeah, thank you so much for watching, and see you in the next one.